Minister of Justice, Abubakar Tambido. Agent Silva reports.
The timing of the long-awaited bill is appropriate and relevant.
We remove the upper age limit for qualification as president for reasons including the need to allow the President of the Republic to appoint qualified, experienced, and competent Gambians.
When assented into law by the President, the bill will pave the way for Gambians to be appointed or elected into any position regardless of their age. It replaces the controversial Section 62 of the Constitution, which bars people above 65 from being elected president or appointed vice president.
The proposed amendment to Section 62 is incidental, it's only incidental to the proposed amendment to Section 141, is to give effect to the desire of His Excellency the President to appoint as many Gambians to the judiciary as possible, particularly in the superior courts of the country.
The bill was tabled a few months ago but failed to proceed due to a procedural hitch. Having now gone through the normal procedure, deputies expressed satisfaction at its passing.
So we must say that this bill is constitution compliant. And we congratulate the Attorney General for adhering to the provision of the Constitution.
Section 62 had always been criticized by opposition parties, but they were unable to amend it during the former government.
So it is good that this change is now taking place, because at least this parliament, by all indications, we are now beginning to be ourselves, because we can now assume what we think is in the best interest of our people. So the change, this amendment, for me is fundamental.
Muhammad Magazi of Basse called for the amendment of Section 91, subsection 1D of the Constitution, which empowers political parties to fire any of their National Assembly members who opposes their agenda in Parliament.
Section 91D1, that's the only reason why we are calling us then or rubber stamp Parliament, is because of Section 91D only. And still it is in the Constitution there. The only free man today in this Parliament is me. I'm not under any political party. Section 91D1 will not be applied to me. Only me alone. But it will apply to all of you.
Meanwhile, Alhaji S. Dabo of Brikama North demanded the introduction of a presidential term limit without delay.
Instead of age limit now, which is now going, the term limit should come. Every government should stay here not more than 5 years, 2 terms.
The session was adjourned to the next day. Agent Silva, GRTS News.
Meanwhile, the lawmakers also approved the Justice Minister's proposal to provide remuneration amounting to $300,000 to the 3 commissioners appointed by the President to launch an inquiry into former President Yahya Jammeh's financial dealings with key public institutions from July 22, 1994 to the 21st of January 2017. Agent Silva again.
Well, deputies have indeed given a clean bill of health to the move to provide remuneration to the commissioners appointed by President Barrow to look into his predecessor's financial dealings with key institutions.
The establishment of the said commission was necessitated by the receipt of preliminary reports which indicate that substantial funds were either directly or indirectly withdrawn, paid out, or expended on instructions or directives received from the office of the President during the tenure in office of former President Jammeh, sometimes for unknown reasons.
The commissioners Surahata Jane, Baima Sen, and Abiose George will be paid $100,000 each every month, while the inquiry will last for former President Jammeh.
It has also been discovered that former President Jammeh, during his tenure in office, has accumulated at least 180 landed properties registered in his name or in companies and foundations in which he has shares or interests, and operated at least 96 local bank accounts.
The setting up of the said Commission of Inquiry is understood to be mandated by Section 16, subsection 1 of the Commission of Inquiry Act, as well as Section 200 of the 1997 Constitution. Commenting further on the qualifications of the commissioners, Tambedu said the commissioners are well caught out for the job.
One of whom is perhaps the most senior member of the Gambia Bar today, and a chartered accountant and a professional banker.
This, however, generated different opinions among deputies, with the likes of Halifa Salah and Musa Amunyasi demanding proof of evidence of the said preliminary reports of the institutions which claim to have financial dealings with former president.
Where is the report? If we do not make a clear demarcation, we could be accused of personalizing or politicizing justice. This House controls the Gambia. We determine what happens here and what is in the supreme interest of our people. That is why we have to be always critical of every issue that is brought here. It's also mandatory on us to lay hands on those documents.
But deputies from the other side of the political divide were very swift to counter the comments made by previous speakers, adding Jammeh's financial mismanagements were evident and apparent for all to see.
There were newspaper reports which has said that when President Jammeh was going to the State House, he went to the State House to overdraft from trust fund for 200 million. How can a poor man become a billionaire over a short period of 22 years? It is evident and very clear that this man could not have acquired this wealth without having leanings. We are all quite sure it's not a witch hunt, and I agree with other members that it should not only stop at him.
The minister's proposal was, however, passed due to the overwhelming support it received from the National Assembly. Etienne Silva, GRTS News.
The Attorney General's Chambers and Ministry of Justice informs the general public that it has, on the 21st July 2017, obtained an order from the High Court freezing additional assets, companies and bank accounts belonging to or connected to former President Yahya Jammeh, his family and close associates. A statement from the ministry says the order was made pursuant to an application by the office on the 19th of July 2017. This new order, the Release Acts, contains an additional 49 properties, mostly located within the Greater Banjul area, as well as 6 bank accounts and 3 companies. The properties have been placed under the control of the Registrar General, while the companies have been placed under the control of Augustus Prom, an independent administrator. This brings the total number of assets frozen so far to 180 landed properties, 96 commercial bank accounts, and 17 companies. The Ministry of Justice seizes this opportunity to thank all those who provided information on these latest properties. The ministry continues to solicit the cooperation of the general public to report any property suspected of belonging to the former president or his close family and associates to the nearest police station. The community of Jara Bureng recently benefited from a donation of 100 bags of rice. The vital foodstuff was donated by the President, His Excellency Adam Barrow. Farmer Kanye reports on that development. Since disaster hit the village of Jara Bureng, donations have been coming from all corners. The latest comes from the President, His Excellency Adam Barrow. The gift came at a crucial time, as most of the affected families are poor farmers. 100 bags of rice were distributed among the affected families. Dembo Bojang is President Barrow's religious advisor.
When this disaster happened, he called me regard the donation as a fulfillment of President Barrow's campaign promise, which is the fight against corruption in all state institutions, including his own office.
This is a welcome idea, which all Gambians should emulate. You know, as we are against corruption, we the stakeholders should not be corrupted in any form.
Obama sees the permanent secretary at the office of the president also used the platform to thank President Barrow for the timely intervention.
This is the president's own personal contribution to support the disaster victims in Gren. And this will reduce the issue of corruption in the government. Civil service will take this one as a model. If you want to help your people, the village or the community that you come from, you have to make sure that you support the community members based on your own income, not what you can take from the government. I think that is a very good example that all the civil servants have to copy.
Village elders returned gratitude to the president. Yusuf Adabo, the alcalde of the village, who was also a victim, thanked the president for the timely gesture.
I'm very, very happy today because this donation is coming directly from His Excellency the President Adama Barrow. And what he told the delegation is the donation is coming directly from his own salary, which is a great move to the people of the region and also to the entire Buren community. We are very grateful to him and that we really appreciate the effort.
The support is appreciated by the affected families who have been struggling to cope with the after effects of the devastating rainstorm. The Lower River region is one of the hardest hit areas in the last month's heavy rains and windstorm. But with this intervention, families are hopeful of rebuilding their lives after a difficult moment. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Famarakani.
GRTS nationwide caravan has begun a 10-day countrywide tour. The move is aimed at meeting the grassroots, listening to their concerns, and providing them content relevant to everyday issues. GRTS caravan team leader Alhaji Modijuf explains.
We are going closer to the people at the grassroots level so that they will showcase their skills, their talents. And right now, as we all understand, we're in the rainy season. We want to see what the farming community are doing. You know, how far they have gone so far, what are their challenges and concerns, and we factor those. We will also be looking at a host of other issues that are of human interest stories for both radio and television. For instance, what are the livestock farmers doing in preparation for Tobaski, for ram sale, and so on? We'll be looking at cotton production. We'll be looking at beekeeping, for example, microfinance, women issues, health, education, agriculture. I expect the people at the end to see themselves as the custodian of the national broadcaster.
GRTS Mahmoud Diouf there speaking ahead of the GRTS caravan tour of rural Gambia. The Inter-Regional Government Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa has ended a 3-day sensitization forum for civil society organizations on advocacy against money laundering and terrorism financing in the region. Khadijatu Juara reports.
The program brought together participants from ECOWAS member states. The Director of Programs and Project Jaiba, Dr. Bunu Nduka, hoped the training would strengthen the fight against money laundering and create more understanding of issues related to money laundering and terror financing.
Issue relating to terrorism, terrorist financing, and money laundering requires the understanding and awareness of the entire populace. And we feel that the civil society can assist us to propagate the message to the grassroots. So that is why we decided to build the capacity of the society to help us in raising the awareness that is required in this area.
Duka urged member states to continue implementing such trainings and advise the participants to be proactive in the fight against money laundering. The program officer campaign for good governance, Shah Kendima, urged the participants to continue to champion the fight against money laundering.
The expectation of all CSOs has emphasized from the meeting is that when we get home, we need to see how best at least we build networks as CSO, to see how best at least we could work well with government and other financial institutions and do awareness raising on anti-money laundering and combating financial terrorism, so that at least in our respective countries we'll all work together to fight against anti-money laundering. This is our expectation, and this is what we are going to do when we return home.
Reporting for GRTS News, I am Khadija Tujuara.
The Gambia Police Force informs the public that issuance of clearance for factory-tinted vehicles has commenced. All tinted vehicle owners are advised to go to the police garage at Sankum Silla Drive in Carnifin for verification of their vehicle tint. Upon confirmation, factory-tinted vehicle owners should pay a sum of $2,000 to the nearest GRA outlet and go to the police headquarters for their clearance. The Office of the Inspector General of Police urges all those in possession of vehicles that are not factory-tinted to stop using them if they are not under the exempted category. The Gambia Immigration Department is urging all undocumented persons living in the Gambia to regularize their status urgently by acquiring the relevant documents. This was revealed to GRTS during an interview with the Public Relations Officer of the Gambia Immigration Department.
In the first place, we would want people to know is anybody who is in this country but is not a citizen of this country. Harboring of undocumented aliens has been a great concern to the Gambia Immigration Department, in the sense that it is making our work very difficult for us when it comes to collection of revenue, and also it is related to some national security issues. You will realize that every alien in this country needs to regularize the status in the country, and this regularization will attract some fees. So this is a way of getting revenue for the country. Two, we have the details. We have their information in our records.
Okay, that is. Yeah, I think it is a general consensus that most of these immigrants, or aliens you call it, once they come to the country, they don't stay in the streets. They obviously stay in someone's compound. And I want to believe that the landlords have a very, very important role to play in ensuring that the work of the immigration has been done. So what precisely would be your message to landlords in this country that are harboring undocumented aliens in the Gambia?
We want to inform the general public that they have a responsibility as citizens. And one of these responsibilities as citizens and as landlords is to make sure that anybody who is going to reside in their complexes, in their premises, is registered with the immigration authorities or with the relevant authorities. All the aliens in this country, like you have rightly said, are not in the streets, they are in compounds. So anybody who is taking somebody to be renting in your premises, you first of all take it as a matter of responsibility on yourself to ensure that this guy have regularized his or her stay in the country. What I want to tell everybody is that each and every one of us have a responsibility that we need to fulfill to this country. This country belongs to all of us. If it is good for all of us. If it is otherwise, also it is to the detriment of all of us. So the issue of harboring undocumented aliens in the country should not be the concern for only immigration authorities, but it should be the concern for all and sundry. So we call on all Gambians, especially the landlords, and people owning premises of residence, should ensure that all those people that they are harboring or they are lodging have satisfied the immigration laws of the country.
Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Dima. And over to the world of sports. A new world record has been set in a township in Johannesburg for the most consecutive one-hand backflips. Dedicated gymnast Zama Mafokeng from Tambisa has landed a place in the Guinness Book of World Records after his incredible 34 consecutive backflips. Here is CGTN's Julie Shear with more.
Gymnastics since he was 10 years old. Earlier this year, Zama attempted to set a world record for doing the most consecutive backflips with only one hand.
I actually have a technique, but I chose this one for one hand because I actually knew that breaking a world record for one hand, I'll be the first person to do it in the world. That's why I actually chose it. But I know how to do many techniques.
When news came that he landed himself a place in the world record books, everyone was delighted.
What he has achieved, no one has ever achieved, particularly from black people in South Africa. I think he's the first person to have done that in South Africa to achieve this record. Even when I tell my friends, family, they are so happy about him.
It's being dubbed the Tembisa Flip, and Zama Mofokeng has become somewhat of a celebrity in his community. And he's inspiring others to follow in his steps.
I'm so happy because I didn't know that this moment would come. So far, now I'm happy because even me, maybe I'll get another opportunity because of Zama.
The Zama hopes that by making headlines, it will encourage the government to help.
Here in South Africa, I think to be a gymnastic is very hard, because the problem is that they don't support it. The government is not really supportive. If you can check the places with gymnastics, the places with gymnastics is actually few, and most of the time is in their suburbs. Here in the locations, you will never find a place specially built for gymnastics.
Zama believes his record-breaking skill can pave the way for township children to have the courage to pursue their dreams in gymnastics.
I take the youngsters and train them so that maybe one day when the government decides to build us a complex where we can train, the youngsters will actually be ready for that place.
He's got kids that he's training on daily basis, even if it's at an informal place. We see Zama inspiring so many kids whereby they are going to get involved, and at the end of the day, they might achieve what he has achieved. That's the kind of training that he's giving them.
Zama Mofokeng is proud to hold the world record, but more importantly, he's determined to inspire and change the lives of Tembisa's children through gymnastics. Julie Shara, CGTN, Tembisa, South Africa.
Here's a story that dramatically depicts the reality of climate change. Every year, Senegal loses up to 2 meters of its coastline thanks to rising sea levels. And in the north, an entire city, St. Louis, is threatened. A team from CGTN has been on special assignments there. The first report from Sonny Mithu.
It looks like any other in Africa. But this place is living on borrowed time. St. Louis sits right up against the Atlantic Ocean. The sea is moving in rapidly thanks to climate change. Thousands are at risk. For Mamadou Cham, even getting to his front door can be a life or death challenge. Cham must scramble over what's left of his neighbors' homes. He lives here with his wife and 10 children. Now 57, Cham's been here all his life, and he fears every day could be his last.
Every day is awful. We cannot sleep at night. Our children have to walk over slippery rocks to get to school. Our women risk every day to get to the market. Just last month, it flooded late in the night. We woke up soaked and the water did a lot of damage.
Cham is among 3,000 or so people packed into Getndar. It's the oldest quarter of St. Louis and right on the front line of the city's fight for survival.
Even when the Atlantic is calm, the waves still lap at the walls of the old city. Now, when a storm rolls in, there's little protection for the homes packed along the shoreline.
Ce phénomène, cette poussée démographique.
The government is trying to take measures, first to save the population, but also to balance what the greenhouse effect is causing in damage.
People know they should move, but don't know where to go or how they would survive. The people of St. Louis make their living from the sea. It's been that way for the best part of 4 centuries, and they can't imagine any other life.
We were born into this profession. Our ancestors were fishermen, and this is all we know. We know too that it's dangerous. Worse still, we are losing our homes, but we have nowhere to go or resources to relocate.
But living like this is not an option either. Mamadou Cham says the authorities have offered little help so far. He's not sure if it will ever come. What he knows for a certain is that the sea will sweep in here soon and will wash everything away. Sonny Mithu, CGTN, Senegal, St. Louis.
Uganda is facing a crisis as government workers are calling for higher wages. A recent spate of industrial action is affecting the delivery of public services. CGTN's Mike and Baleke on this one.
Standstill as state prosecutors hang their badge jackets, demanding better salaries. Barely a week after calling off the strike, members of the Uganda Judicial Officers Association have given government 30 days to revise their pay or face more industrial action.
The single spine salary is very minimal compared to the costs of living currently. And we are saying, is there a possibility of improving on the terms of conditions of service by improving the welfare of the judicial officers through better pay, providing some form of security? You have seen, you know some of our officers have been attacked and some have been killed in line of duty.
The health and education sectors have been facing similar calls from public employees. This is Uganda's oldest public university, Makerere. Non-teaching staff responsible for the administration and the daily operations of the facilities here have not reported to work for 2 days now over low pay. Lecture rooms and the main library remain closed, and students say they are missing out on study time. Many of the students who arrived for lessons were simply stranded, while others decided to sit and have discussions along the pathways outside their lecture halls.
We have reduced on the time we shall study for the next semester, like it was in the previous semester. You remember the university was closed for 2 months. Even before the closure, we had reported late. You get? So all those things are affecting us. And remember, the university is not going to say, students, now since we have studied for not normal time, we are reducing on your tuition. No, we have to pay the normal tuition that we are supposed to pay.
Uganda's cabinet has now ordered a review of public servants' pay. Union representatives say there is a need to end salary disparities that exist within the civil service.
For the last 6 years, there have never been salary enhancement for government workers. Apart from those we have negotiated for, like the teachers, like others, now we are trying our level best to see that medical workers also come to that area. So it is a serious concern that the workers don't have, the salary disparities is creating a lot of uncertainty within government cycle.
In 2016, the Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni rejected a proposal by his cabinet to increase salaries of civil servants and instead suggested that their jobs be reviewed and some be cut. But even with the move to review the wages in the civil service, Ugandans may have to wait longer to get justice, access health care, and receive education, among other social services, as the disputes continue. Michael Baleke, CGTN, Kampala, Uganda.
And before we take leave of you, a recap of the day's main stories. Deputies have adopted the bill to amend the presidential age limit. Minister of Justice has revealed it has obtained a court order to freeze additional assets belonging to former President Yahya Jammeh. Senegal's coastal city of St. Louis is facing the threat of climate change, with reports of rising sea levels washing away parts of the city. And public workers in Uganda have staged a series of industrial strikes, demanding higher wages. That was all in this edition of the news. Thanks for the pleasure of your company. From myself and others of the team, have a beautiful good evening.